Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on dog-to-dog reactivity. If you've joined us here today, it's probably because you are struggling with either your dog or a friend's dog or a dog you work with and their reactivity towards other dogs. You know, I'm Shirin Thapa, and I've been now working in this field of dog behavior and training for over 27 years. And over the years, what I've noticed, especially the last few years, maybe last 5 years, we've noticed there's an increasing rise in the number of dog to dog reactivity or dog to dog aggression cases in India, especially in the cities in India. And it's interesting to note why that trend has started. We did not have this problem as much as we do right now. Say 27 years ago, we rarely saw these issues. Most dogs that you had out there got along with other dogs, or there wasn't that kind of level of aggression. Here today, I'd say about 7 out of 10 dogs struggle with dog to dog issues. And we're going to see today what is the reason for that, and very short, maybe tips on what you could do to help yourself and your dog on that. So when we first, say what is dog to dog aggression or reactivity. So when we term it as reactivity, it's basically a dog that's not really yet bitten. Maybe it's just reactive, barks, lunges, but may not go the full distance as to maybe in biting. When we talk about aggression, this would be a dog that is out and out aggressive towards the dog. And if possible, if given a chance, that dog might harm the other dog. So I would say both of these overlap with each other. And I'll tell you this, whether you have one or the other, they both need to be worked on. So let's look first at what are the reasons. And this is where often people get stuck. And we're going to start with the dog as a young dog. The first step is understanding socialization. And a lot of people get this wrong. What they think typically of socialization is not how it really occurs. So let me explain to you what really happens. When your puppy is born, and it doesn't matter here whether you have a breeder or you picked up a puppy from the street, all dogs follow this process of growth and development. Okay, so the first thing you have to remember is when a puppy is born, it needs its mom. And in fact, typically all puppies are born with their eyes closed and the ears are closed. And that's how it is. The eyes and the ears open at about 3 weeks. At about 2 weeks, I'd say. So it's really about 3 weeks that the dog realizes there's a world around him and starts to interact. That is a crucial period now for dog to dog socialization, which is why we typically say, with a lot of breeders, they give away their puppies at 4 weeks of age. That's wrong. Your dog must live with the mother and litter mates till the age of about 8 to 12 weeks. I would say even 8 to 10 weeks would be fine. Okay. Why? Because that is what we call as a critical period. A critical period means it's a period of time, a period of development and growth that happens only at that time. It cannot happen after that stage is over. And that is the critical dog to dog socialization period. Dogs that have missed out on that for any reason, maybe say they were taken away too young from the mother and litter mates, maybe they got lost, they got displaced, whatever the issue is. Dogs that miss out on that likely end up growing up to be dogs that either are very rude in approach to other dogs or very scared of dogs. It'll be most likely one of the two. Okay. It's in a lot of cases, though, it can work out where the dog is fine around dogs. But most dogs that have missed that critical learning typically don't know how to behave around other dogs. What we typically do is we take away the dog too young from the mother. And then when we bring the dog home, so say we bring the dog home typically at 10 weeks of age, which is about 8 to 10 weeks is the correct time to bring your puppy home, not before that. When we bring the dog home, what do we do as human beings? We typically think from how would I put it, a human aspect, right? And what we then say is, oh, poor dog, he needs to play with other dogs. We took him away from his mother. Maybe he misses his litter mates. What you've got to know, at 8 to 10 weeks, it is imperative for that puppy now to learn the language of the species he's going to live with, which is the human beings. What we do is spend that critical period again, allowing the dog to interact and play with other dogs, saying, oh, dog to dog socialization is happening. It's not. Typically, what research has shown us is after the age of about 10 to 12 weeks, a dog does not necessarily need to play with any other dog for any good learning benefit whatsoever. So think about that. So if your puppy missed that crucial socialization, then you've missed that window. And likely that could lead down the road to the road of aggression. Next is simply a bad experience. You take your dog out and anything could happen. It could be also a young dog that's not necessarily bitten by a dog. He could be body bumped by another dog. That can lead him to be a little worried and say, oh my God, oh, that was so scary. And that can then lead to the road where the dog says, other dogs are scary. And as you'll see, when we talk about fear, which can start for various reasons, a bad experience, poor socialization, scary thing, or any of that, can quickly lead to the word aggression. The next, this can be learned from the mother dog. So when you see puppies living with their mother, they copy mom. They copy her behavior because it makes sense, right? Till you know better and till you have your own wisdom, you should copy what mom does. Now, if the mother dog has aggression towards other dogs, you're very quickly going to see the puppy doing that. One of my students, she was helping out two puppies that lived on the road near her house. And the puppies were all sweet, very nice, good tempered, came for our trainer courses. As the dogs grew, she started to tell me the mother dog chases other dogs on the street, and now the puppies have started to learn that from her. So it can be learned from the mother. And I'll tell you one thing, what they learn from a mother dog is what they're going to carry forward. It's very difficult to change that behavior down the road. And the fourth reason, which is the most common in my opinion, is excessive dog to dog play. Again, brought about the fact that when we bring our puppies home, we actually take them for situations where we say socialization, or we go to dog parks and we encourage excessive dog to dog play. And I'm sure you're sitting here thinking, so what is wrong with that? Isn't a dog supposed to play with other dogs? It's his own species. Won't he miss it? But here's the thing. Typically, I would say 9.9 out of 10 people do it all wrong, and which is why we end up with a problem. So when we look at aggression, what I want to tell you is there can be many reasons for aggression in general. It could be a medical cause, there could be genetics at play. Like we say, there could be fear issues, learn from the mother. But typically what we say is, if the dog has learned this over a period of time, through the course of life maybe, then here is what we know. You can take all the various aggressions a dog can have out there. It can be territorial, it can be resource guarding, it could be dog to dog issues, it could be dominance aggression, fear aggressive dogs, protective aggression. You take all aggressions, and when you go deeper into what we call as the root cause for these aggressions, there are only two reasons. It's really that simple. So it falls under either the reason for the behavior is fear, or the reason for the behavior is frustration. They're not 10, they're not 12. It's as simple as just two reasons, fear and frustration. And that's what we're going to look at today. With fear, like I already explained, fear can set into a dog for various reasons. Then we look at frustration. Frustration-based dog-to-dog aggression is typically born out of the fact that a dog is allowed excessive, any kind of play with any other dog. And a lot of it is when you have two dogs at home, they're constantly playing. It typically can form the formula for the younger dog to develop dog-to-dog reactivity as he grows older. And how does this happen? So this is what it is. When that dog comes to live with us, at about 10 weeks of age, 12 weeks of age, it's important that we spend that time, which is only till about 5.5 months, maybe. Maximum you can stretch to 6 months, where that dog needs to learn how to speak our language, needs to interact with human beings, play with human beings, all of that, socialize with the human world. but we take a large chunk of that time and encourage our young dogs to play with other dogs. And the worst situations are where it is completely unsupervised play. And when I mean unsupervised, let me clarify this. I want to know who's supervising. Is it just a pet parent? Then they may not have the knowledge you require to know what is good dog to dog play, what is not good dog to dog play. You have to have that knowledge. If you don't know, you're just going to stand and say, ah, so sweet, they're playing. And even worse is when if the play turns a bit rough, if the play turns a bit aggressive, most people say, you know what, don't worry, they will sort it out. And how do they sort it out? The word aggression has to enter the picture for one dog to sort out a problem with the other dog. Why in the world would you want your dog to learn how to be aggressive to other dogs? And then people come back and tell me, oh, I don't know now what's wrong. My dog used to play every day with another dog. And now suddenly overnight, it appears like there's been a dog fight that's happened. And when we look at it, we say, my God, what went wrong? Why did this happen altogether? Okay. And what you've got to understand, it then becomes like a frustration-based aggression, where the dog says, I want to play with another dog. And if I can't play with another dog, I'm going to go and get aggressive with that dog. You know, for those of you who actually struggle with these issues, you need to think about it. We have a course coming up tomorrow. Actually, it's just tomorrow. It's Saturday and Sunday. And in that course, I'm really going to go into depth of why this happens. Why do dogs turn fearful of other dogs? How does frustration born out of play lead to aggression down the road? How does all this happen? We're going to look at all of that in depth. And my suggestion to you is, when I'm doing this as a live, if you join then and you learn, it's best. For those of you who can't come for the live sessions, we also provide the recordings, but it's going to be a lot of in-depth. And if you've been struggling with these issues, then I think the time has come for you to learn what to do. Because as you'll see down, as we cover today's session, you'll learn it can be quite dangerous for a dog to have these issues. It's dangerous for their health as well, not to mention your peace of mind. So coming back to this, when we look at the reasons, we know for the learned reasons for dog-to-dog aggression, it's fear or frustration. One of these two reasons is why your dog is behaving the way he does. And what should you do? In today's session, I've just given you very easy DIY kind of tips. You should be able to at least understand what is going on and should, by using these tips a bit, maybe control the issue a little bit. Okay, so we're keeping it light for today. First step is this. Stop all rough dog-to-dog play. Here's what I always teach about dog behavior. If your dog is doing something that's not good, and you keep letting him do that, and from the other side, you try to put like a prevention, a remedy for it, it's never going to work. I always think of it like, say if a tap is running and you keep mopping the floor, but that's not going to help. You have to shut the tap first. And in cases like this, the first step, if your dog is playing games with other dogs, is to stop that. Now, many of you are going to say, oh, but my poor dog, he's going to miss playing with other dogs. That's where you come into the picture. You play with your dog. You have to be your dog's best friend. It does not have to be another dog. That's where we're getting it wrong. And like I said, that's one of the main reasons we today as a society in our Indian cities struggle with dog-to-dog issues, because we have this mindset, oh, poor thing, he must play with other dogs. So we set up doggy play dates, we set up doggy parties and all of that, not realizing that a lot of this could actually be causing more harm than good. Then here's what I'm going to say to you. Typically, dogs that get to play with a lot of other dogs do not have a very, very strong relationship with the humans they live with. So my suggestion is repair that. How do you repair that? By playing with your dog. There's no secret to it. Play with your dog, interact with your dog, communicate. When I say communicate, it happens when you play, interact, all of that. There's a communication, right? Where the dog's trying to understand what you're saying. You're trying to understand what the dog is saying. And that is what makes the bond between you and your dog stronger. So here's what I always say to people. Your dog needs to play. Of course, all animals need to play. It's a survival thing. But your dog does not have to play with another dog. He can play with you. He can play with a human being. He'd be more than happy with that. But most of us, what we do, we take the lazy way out and say, send him to play with another dog. Now then he comes back tired. I don't have to put in effort. But that could be then breaking the relationship you have with your dog and making his relationship with a third dog stronger. Again, I'd say, think about it. Do you really want that? Then comes a simple principle where I say, teach your dog to ignore the presence of other dogs. And I'm going to show it to you in this video clip. So you watch, these are my dogs here. There are actually 3 dogs in this video. Okay, I'll show you. There's one here, one here, one here. And what I teach my dogs is play with me. I'm your best friend. I don't want my dog necessarily to think of another dog as his best friend. I want to be his best friend. So when we have our dogs, at any point in time, sometimes I have 8 of my dogs that I take for a walk together. Not in a city. I was at a farm that we had, and I take them like into the forest. So it's open, the dogs run free. None of them would really, they'd engage with each other. They'd be polite and pleasant with each other, but they would not do excessive play with each other. See here what I've taught the dog to do. She wants to play with me. That's what I've taught her. I'm your best friend. If you can have a dog doing this, all I want to tell you is this. If your dog can ignore other dogs, play with you, then 90% of your dog-to-dog issues get sorted out just with that much. Think about it. The next thing, there is an advanced behavioral training method called CER, Conditioned Emotion Response. And that is a very, very powerful method you can use to change your dog's lunging behavior, barking behavior, any aggressive behavior, even sometimes maybe fear behavior towards other dogs. And this is a bit of an elaborate process, so I haven't really gone through it here. Today's session is a bit short. But if you do join the course tomorrow, we go over it in detail. And I actually go over it step by step. I have videos to show you. So you'll actually learn what to do. And it's easy enough for you to be then able to do it by yourself. If you come for the course, just to tell you what's going to happen on the course, if you come for the course, I kind of handhold you through that process as well, helping you get it right with your dog. But in any case, my suggestion is look up what a conditioned emotion response training is for dogs. It's powerful. It works on the principles of science called classical conditioning. And what this training method actually does is it takes the dog's mindset. So when your dog looks at another dog and he gets all aggressive, CER changes that. It teaches the dog, now when you look at another dog, you should change your state of emotion from one of aggression to one of being maybe calm and in a pleasant state of mind. It's that powerful a method. And you don't need anything, just you need a few rewards that you can give your dog. Maybe you need another dog to practice with at a far distance. There's no damage or harm that will come to any dog when you do CER training. And the one thing that I love about CER work, once you do it and you've taught that to the dog's brain, that training stays forever. You never have to refresh it. You never have to revisit it. Nothing. It's there forever. Okay. And then think about this. Okay, let's take a look at this video. Like I said, a lot of dogs don't like to play with other dogs. And what we do is we say, oh, why don't you like it? Come on, let's go play again today with another dog. And let's go play again with another dog. And we keep making them play with dogs in the hope that they'll enjoy it. And my suggestion is if your dog is pretty clear and says, but I don't like this, then my thing to you is listen to your dog. If he's saying, I don't like it, leave him alone. I'm going to play you this video. Take a look at it. Tell me what you see. Put that in the chat box. And then I'll explain to you what I see. So I'd love your feedback. I'd love your comments in the chat box. You can even talk to me right now through the chat box. Tell me what your issues are, because I'll cover it after the session's over. But put in the chat box what you read. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Tell me what you see. Okay, I'll play the video. How many of you watch this and tell me, how many of you think these are two dogs playing? And so cute, they're playing so well. I want your inputs. What do you see here? Are these two dogs playing? Like I said, there's no right answer, there's no wrong. Give me your answers. What I see here is that two dogs are not playing. This is what I read into the situation. Okay. And to make it easier, I'll say white dog, brown dog. Okay. If you look at the brown dog, he does not want to play. He's trying to ward off. He's trying to tell that little white dog, could you please go away? Stop it. I don't like it. But this white dog, you can make out, has played so much with other dogs that he doesn't even know how to listen now when a dog's saying, hey, stop. He just gets rougher and ruder. This is typically, I'd say the white dog has what we call as frustration-based play behaviors towards other dogs. And this can lead to aggression down the road. It's already kind of nearly there. This brown dog was very close to snapping, if you can see in this picture here. And a lot of us think, oh, they're hugging, they're playing. You must know in the world of dogs, there is no hugging. Hugging is done when they get into a fight. Dogs do not hug as a sign of affection. That is very important for you to know. So what you think here, I'm going to play it again, looks like play to you. To me, look again now. One dog is pushing the other dog to interact. The second dog, which is the brown, is saying, but I don't want to interact with you. And the white one is saying, no, come on, come on. If I get rough with you, you will interact. And the poor brown dog has no choice but to. And the white dog saying, yay, look how much fun we're having. This is not good dog-to-dog play. It's not good for your dogs to have this play. So I want you to now today, if nothing else today, at least this should open your mind to thinking, oh, wow, okay, I've been doing things a bit differently. Maybe I need to change a few things now. And what I always say is listen to your dogs. If your dog clearly says, I'm scared of other dogs, then don't make him meet more dogs. There's this whole process of belief that says, if a dog is scared, take him to meet more dogs, because as he meets more dogs, the fear will go down. Here's the thing, you should know, confronting your fears is not the way to get rid of them. In fact, very often that makes it worse. And like I've said already, you want the elaborate understanding of this, the elaborate process of how fear works for dogs. You need to then come for that course, or you need to purchase it later on. It's only 5,000 rupees for, I would say, over 4 hours of heavy duty content. All right. All my experience of all these years is in that course. So all I say is just listen. Even if you don't attend the course, what I'm trying to do with just today's small, short session that we have, learn something, make a few changes. That's your choice. You can do that for your dog's sake. If your dog clearly looks at dogs and says, oh, I'm not comfy, then my suggestion to you is take your dog away from other dogs. Everybody in the world will tell you, no, make them play, make them play. Say, for example, I'm scared of cockroaches. Making me play with cockroaches is not going to remove my fear of cockroaches. It might actually make me more scared in the long term. And eventually, because of my high levels of fear, I might use aggression to keep them away. Think. We have to think. We're getting it all wrong. Typically people call me and say, my dog is scared of dogs. Where can I socialize him? Is there a dog park? That is your dog's worst nightmare come true. Remember that, guys. It's your worst nightmare come true for your dog to actually think, oh my God, now every walk we go to, is she going to make me meet a dog? Is a dog going to come up and say hello? Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Can you believe what amount of stress your dog must be going through then? And bringing that stress home and manifesting it in different forms. So watch this little clip. These are two dogs. The Labrador, there's nothing wrong in this video, nothing wrong going on. If you but watch carefully, this teaches us to listen. The Lab wants to play. He's not playing rudely or badly. He's playing very politely, I might say. But the indie dog is clearly saying, just leave me alone now. I don't want to play with you. But why do I say this is not anything dangerous, I see? Because both the dogs are free to get up and leave if they wanted to. So this might be a good dog-to-dog interaction. All right? But watch what's happening. When you have two dogs and one clearly saying, I'm not really wanting to play, you see typically then the Labrador eventually started to say, well, all right, I'll listen to you. And that is what is important. If an interaction is happening where two dogs are playing, here are my rules for dog-to-dog play. 1, if any dog is bullying a dog or getting bullied, one dog is being victimized, then stop that play. That's not good learning. 2, if the game gets so rough where aggression is being used, stop that game. That's not good learning either. 3, both dogs should be equally wanting to interact. If one dog keeps running away and the other dog keeps chasing, then that may not be a balanced interaction. You might want to interrupt that play. And you know what? When you do that, you don't need to scold or punish the dogs. Just gently pull them apart and then just say, here, you come, you do this. And you little doggy, you come, you do this. Just give them something separate to do. So in this video, why I showed it to you is the indie dog. I'll play it again. The indie dog is quite clearly saying, oh God, I don't really want to interact with you. Okay? And like I said, if this had gotten worse, maybe then the pet parent should have intervened. It's not that bad, so it's okay for it to continue. Okay? Next step, know your dog's triggers. And this is important. Okay? What starts your dog off on his reactivity? If you can control that, is it the sight of another dog? Is it the barking of another dog that does that? What starts your dog off? So this is a dog that's... Now what you see here is a dog that's already in that zone. Here is what I want to teach you. Okay? Once your dog is in that zone, there's very little you can do to change the behavior or the thought because he's gone into that crazy zone. The adrenaline is coming out, the cortisol is coming out. It doesn't allow sensible thought processes to happen. My suggestion is when you want to work on this, catch your dog before he gets in that zone. Because once he's in that zone, it's too late. Then all you can do is what you see happening in the video, just pulling a dog away from the situation. Okay? Then what I typically say is you've lost that golden window of time where you could have taught your dog how to behave. So any behavior modification you're doing, you need to work in what I call as a certain window of time. And I'm going to teach that to you. Okay. This is the graph of aggression. Look at it carefully. All right. Intensity of aggression and the duration. Now, what you've got to understand is this. When one dog wants to go for another dog, for whatever reason, there will always be a short-term thought process. It's short. It could be 2 seconds. It could be 3. If you're lucky, it's 5 seconds. It depends on the dog and the amount of experience he's had to do this behavior. But there always is where one dog looks at the dog and says, oh, I don't think I like you. We call that the precursor stage. If you look at the graph is still low at that time. The dog hasn't gone into full-blown aggression. The graph is low. That is you see the blue circle. That is the period of time where any behavior work you want to do. You want to tell the dog no. You want to do CER work. Whatever you want to tell the dog. That's the time when the brain will be receptive to learning. If you miss that critical window of time, then what typically can happen is the dog can go into that zone. Once he goes into that zone, what you see is the graph shoots up. The intensity of the behavior goes up. Then if you look at the graph, it flatlines for a bit. That's the duration of aggression. And then slowly the adrenaline can leave the body. So that's the graph of aggression. Once the graph has gone up, what I want to tell you is nothing will work. You can hit your dog, you can shout at the dog, you can throw water. People tell you all these things. My suggestion is don't do that because nothing is going to work. So why would you do it to begin with? Anything you want to tell your dog, a no, a stop it, a listen to me. You want to teach him an alternate behavior of look at me instead of barking at the dog. It will work only in that blue circle, the precursor to aggression stage, after which you're not likely to. Why? Because once the graph goes up, adrenaline, a hormone which is your fight and flight hormone, that gets released. And when the dog is in that zone, his brain shuts down to any rational thought process. He's just in that fight and flight zone and save my life kind of a thing. And so these are small things you needed to learn today to understand what is dog-to-dog reactivity, what is dog-to-dog aggression, and what are the different ways you could tackle it. Of course, like I've said earlier, the topic goes more into depth. Today, it's just a lighter session, so I just gave you a few tips that can guide you. At least maybe today you start on the right road. But if you think you want to get into depth, you want to get into detail, you reach out to me and I'll send you the details for the course. It's a weekend course. It's just for tomorrow and day after. And you should then join that. Even if you don't join the live session, you watch the recording, there is so much in-depth knowledge. And today, what I want to end with here today is just this simple thing. If your dog, every time he goes out and goes for a walk, goes to a dog park, is showing aggression or having aggression manifested towards him in any form, a subtle way or a full-on out-and-out aggression, then you must know that eventually that's going to cause stress to the dog. And stress over long term can damage your dog's health, can create other behavior issues. So don't take this problem lightly. Whether you're going to work with me or somebody else, it doesn't matter. My suggestion to you is do something about it. If you haven't done it for a long period of time, then maybe you were meant to be here for today's session and today's webinar, and you were meant to attend this to at least start you off on the road of change. And with that, we're going to end our session. I'm going to stop the screen sharing and take your questions. Okay, you put your questions in the chat box, please, and I will answer them there. Anuja said, please talk about past traumas. We have a rescue history of 5 years. Anuja, I don't know what traumas your dog has had. Are we talking about dog-to-dog issue traumas? Again, what you all must know with trauma is it can have lingering, long-lasting effects on behavior and health. So it must be tackled, I would say, ideally in the first 48 hours of the incident, before the cells of the body start to change to adapt to what we call as the new you based out of trauma, which is not a very good thing. Some of you have explained what is going on in the videos, which is very good. Thank you for that. All right. So Rahul has said, not socializing with one's own species ends up like Mowgli's story. Here's what you have to know, Rahul. With the world of dogs, okay, all research has shown this. This is not just me giving you my own inputs. Everything about dog socialization happens in critical periods. And we typically say the larger window of socialization shuts at 5.5 months, after which whatever you've taught your dog stays. If your dog has not been socialized, he's going to end up with problems down the road. And what we do know is the two windows, dog-to-dog socialization happens from the age of about 2 to 3 weeks to about 10 to 12 weeks, after which that window shuts. And then the window opens of the dog needing to socialize with human beings. And that's why, see how we humanize it. We're always thinking of it from the human view, right? Oh, if as a human I did not play with other humans, I'd be a deprived person. I won't be well socialized. That's a whole different species, the human one. Don't compare it with the dog world, is what I want to just suggest. Okay, Siddhi has said, my dog does not react much when he's off leash, but on leash he reacts. This is typically what we call as leash reactivity. And to explain it to you all, this is what it is. When you have a dog with fearful aggression, based out of fear, being on the leash makes him know that there is no escape, which is why the dog will react. The minute he's off leash, he knows he can run away. He can increase the distance between him and another dog. That is a comforting environment, which is why you're unlikely to see it when the dog is off leash. My suggestion then, Siddhi, to you is you definitely need to look at doing the bigger course to understand this topic more in depth. Deepika said, are there insights you might have for a pet sitter since I don't get too much time to spend with them? And it's important to learn things and figure. Deepika, you definitely need to study dog behavior in detail. You know, we just finished an online dog behavior course, and we had a lot of people who do pet boarding and pet sitting on that course, because, you know, it's now come to a point where people know their stuff. And if we as professionals don't, they kind of can call you out on that. So it's now important, if you're working in the field of dogs, you should know what they're doing. You should understand dog behavior. Any kind of professional today needs that. Today, even vets are now getting trained in behavior because they're realizing otherwise the problems are just growing. Sachi has said, my dog loves stray dogs but hate pets. This is what we might call as breed discrimination from dogs. What can happen sometimes, and this is interesting, is if your dog finds other pet dogs kind of worrying, and that could be for anything. It could be a bad experience. It could be anything. Then the dog quickly makes up his mind. All pet dogs on the leash are not good, but street dogs, they're fine. They've not done anything to me. And that means like a discrimination. A lot of people tell me my dog has that. Like my dog only doesn't like XYZ breeds, but he's friendly to the other breeds. And that comes about from past experiences. Somashri said, my dog is 3 years. While walking, he sees other dogs. He sleeps on the road with the tail up. What to do? He's a Labrador. How to make him walk in case. So typically this means then, like I said, read the body language of your dog. Listen to your dog. He's saying he's not sure of the interaction that would come between him and the other dog. If possible, my advice to you is get off the pavement, go around, let that dog pass, and then you cut through. Because your dog clearly is saying, I'm not sure. So, you know, going into a down position, especially with the tail wagging like that, is a dog saying, oh, there's another dog coming. I'm not sure what to say. So he does the down kind of to tell the other dog, I mean no harm. But at the same time, it's a situation of conflict and means your dog may not be comfy. And my suggestion is maybe, if possible, don't put him through that. Aryan says, when I'm walking my dog and seeing another dog, she growls and barks so loudly, I'm unable to understand. Right. I'll tell you one thing, Aryan, she does not want to befriend them. Okay. She might be scared, and scared dogs have learned if they use aggression, it's a great way to make sure either they get pulled away or the other dog gets pulled away. And by doing that, they get what they wanted in the first place as a fearful dog, to increase the distance between themselves and another dog. Soumya said, my dog makes a lot of grunting noises when playing, but her body language is not aggressive. She doesn't snap at others. Is it a sign of aggression? Soumya, I'm not sure what this grunting sound is. If you could send me a video, I'd be able to tell better. Purnima says, my dog pulls on the leash and growls a lot. If this is towards other dogs, you definitely need to tackle this issue. Guys, I'm telling you one thing. If every day your dog goes for a walk, growls at other dogs, it doesn't even go further, I'm going to tell you one thing. Stress hormones get released in your dog, and over a period of time, that's going to harm your dog. So do something about these issues. So Anuja is saying he had a dog fight and was injured. Then Anuja, you definitely need to do a CER treatment for your dog. For those of you who don't want to come tomorrow for the course, that's fine. DM me later, email me later, and I'll at least maybe refer you to behaviorists where you stay and somebody who's qualified to help you with this. Okay? How do you break up a dog fight? Rahul is asked. Ideally, you never put your hand in the middle. When two dogs are fighting and you put your hand gets bitten far worse than they will bite each other. So don't do that. If you possibly can, pick up the hind legs of the dogs, both of them together, lift the hind legs and then pull them apart. It's very easy to say how to do this, but to actually do this is not easy. You have to have a lot of presence of mind at that time. Okay, we'll take the next 3 questions and then we will end here for today. Tanya has asked, my dog was friendly with dogs. Later he got bitten and now he's always barking. That means now he's basically saying to you, Tanya, saying to the other dogs, I'm not sure of this. Could you please stay away? My suggestion would be to you to listen to your dog. Parmita Shroff has said, can you elaborate on play frustration, which the white dog had? So we do go over this in detail on the course, but just to give you a brief thing, when two dogs play excessively, you'll notice the game gets rougher and rougher and rougher. That leads then to one of the dogs thinking, it's okay to play with other dogs like this. When he then goes to another dog to play that game, that dog may not see it as play. He might see it as full-blown aggression, might retaliate, and in that retaliation, a dog fight can break out. Okay? And that's why we say today, with all these dog parks and kennels which encourage dog-to-dog play, we are seeing a lot of dog-to-dog aggression. All right? Sachi says, my dog loves playing with strays, but hates when pet dogs show up. Well, listen to your dog. Your dog's clearly saying who he likes to play with and who he does not. Okay, and let's take the last question for now, which is Kriti saying, while walking, my dog wants to go to another dog to play. She pulls and lunges, which scares the other dog. My dog then gets frustrated. This is typically where we call this leash reactivity, where on the leash, we've allowed our dogs to go say hello to all the other dogs. And we say that, now go say hi, oh hi, on walks you allow. Then will come a day when you don't allow for any reason where the other dog may not like it. And then your dog gets frustrated. He says, but I want to go, I want to play. And typically then you get frustration-based aggression. My suggestion for this is simple. When you take your dog for a walk on the leash, do not allow him to think he can go pull and play with all the dogs. No, don't allow that behavior. What you can do is say, I'll decide if you can do that. I'll decide if you should not do that. And then you have a dog that says, okay, then I should not get frustrated because I'll leave it to my human being to decide that. Okay, with that, we're going to end for today. We've gone over our time limit. I hope you found today's session interesting. We will upload this recording to YouTube and we will email you the link for this. Thank you for attending. And like I said, Sachi, tomorrow's session is not free. It's tons of advice. It's 5,000 rupees for the full 4 hours plus more content. If you do have a dog that you're struggling with, my suggestion is join. If you decide not to, you want to join later, we can always send you recordings as well. Okay? But if you'd like to, do get in touch with us either on Instagram or by email, and I'm happy to send you the details for the course starting tomorrow. Thank you for today, everybody. I hope you found it useful. And we'll see you on our next live session, maybe in a week or so from today. Bye.